Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Flight for Survival. So you might remember last time we were having trouble flying our rockets, and I think it was pilot error. It wasn't the rocket design itself. I mean, it may have been a little bit of the rocket design, but we're going to go ahead today and we're going to fulfill this first part of the Explore the Moon contract. We're going to take a probe that we can't even really get to fly correctly and send it to the moon. But we're also going to rescue from Winter Owl, or for Winter Owl, Johnzer Kerman, or Johnzer rather, and that will give us a lot of cash. That is very enticing because we did blow a lot of our money earlier on those tests. I'm gonna do the moon flight first, I think. But we have several days to get that, I imagine. No science for it, but plenty of money. And over 4 years to complete the contract, which is actually quite a long time. But we'll go out to the launch pad here. Hopefully my craft got saved. This is the Prober Mark III. Now, the Prober Mark IIA, we're going to probably fly while we're waiting for an intercept. But we'll get this thing on its way to the moon real quick before we do that, because that will require a little bit of forethought. And for 20k, I mean, it's not all that bad. We got lots of things going on here. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to throttle up, and I'm going to begin my gravity turn almost immediately. Maybe at around 60 meters per second or so. The recommendation is that we keep our thrust to weight ratio around 1.6 until we get out of the atmosphere. I've successfully tested it with something other than that, but that's Ferrum 4's suggestion. So, there we go, our gravity turn has begun, and hopefully this will correct our inclination, so we will have slight issues with inclination for the time being, because the rocket, we want to use quick control, not quick control, but we want to follow we want to follow our program vector. We're still doing very well here. We can probably keep this guy under control. The thing I've learned is that we just want to, we don't want to do that. That's the surest way for us to end up doing the wrong thing. We will oscillate a little bit, but that's where SAS comes in. If we can keep this guy down here, and we should be able to get to the moon just fine, even though we are hitting 45 a little bit shallow. And of course, I did not fly this quite correctly because I want to. Well, that did not go as planned. Let's grab something out of these materials by experiments. However, at least get that back. Getting some science back for our deal is not going to be bad. Oh, don't transmit it. I think really part of the issue is that I pitched over a little bit too soon. I gotten pretty good at it actually. I practiced for about an hour, but that didn't really do much for us. We're not going to get anything from the goo probably. Oh, we'll get a little bit. Still, that's not quite what I want to do. But we'll at least recover this. This is, believe it or not, the expensive part of our vessel. And I bet you if we bring up far, it's going to tell us we got large AOA and side slip. Which is a bit on the unfortunate side. If we can keep this thing going down towards the retrograde vector, that will help tremendously. And that little bit of science just may be the thing for us. But we'll wait for this guy to splash down. And you can see this isn't too bad of a deal for us. We just have to be a little bit more careful next time. It's good to know that we can at least rescue Kerbals if we really, want to. If we really do start running out of money. It's not going to help my manned moon effort any, but we'll just recover that vessel. So, let us. And we have 43 science at least. Which is not bad. We recovered about half of our vehicle, a little bit less than half. Now let's try this again. Because, I don't really want to, spend too much in the way of money. I have to embarrass myself every time I do. Let's bring up our flight data this time so we can at least. This is where the terminal velocity moved to, by the way, so what we'll do is I'll turn on this guy right here. They recommend not to use SAS. It seems though that despite everything, that it's really the only option. done my job correctly. And that is a very big if. But if I've done my job correctly, then we get this down within 10 to 45 within like maybe 10 kilometers. The thrust to weight ratio just does not seem to be responding all that well to my input. Okay, so we're probably going to be a little bit shallow. But that's okay, because once we get past max Q, which, you know, we already are, we can begin throttling up. Try to keep this inclination under control a little bit. And there we go. We've got a more or less perfect gravity turn. Using gravity of all things to keep us stable. We just gotta keep our inclination going here, and it's probably about time that we allow this thing to pitch us over. SAS at this point is going to be a very good thing to have. And we'll just, for now, keep this guy down because we're so high up. I'm just going to try and get our target velocity, our target apoapsis. Probably not the best thing for us here. I think somewhere to the order of between 80 and 90 is good. We're just going to get out of the atmosphere here so that we can possibly abuse that. That's probably the best I've done yet. And there is this deal with FAR to where it is very easy, if you're not careful, to get out of, I suppose, out of touch or whatever. Out of touch maybe isn't the right word, but out of, I guess with the out of alignment is more like it. So the plan here is going to be for us to take a free return trajectory to the moon. Let's see, apoapsis of what? That's 91 versus... That's perfect. I'll just go over here. We don't need FAR anymore. So I'm going to take FAR down. And I'm going to take off fine control because it's not really necessary. I did add on reaction wheels, as you probably saw. Not really the best decision in hindsight, but part of that was because I was having trouble fighting the drag. Even though I did wait until more or less after that burn. That's 135. I mean, that's okay. We have plenty of Delta V here to get to the moon. So we'll just... Ooh, well now we're a little bit too far ahead. We don't want to get too terribly far in because we don't want to intercept what's his face so that we only have 2 hours. That's probably going to be the next mission. And then after that I'm going to unlock some science. You can see how unwieldy this thing is. But there we go. That's circular, I believe. Now, let's target that moon. Because one thing we will want to do is get this guy up and going here. And bring... well, there we go. Bring down that apoapsis to... or not the apoapsis, but the ascending node. 0.1... and 0. It doesn't need to be perfectly 0 to get there, but we'll just go for a straight equatorial orbit. And we should be quite far away from Johnzer. I think that's not going to be much of an issue. No, we could have completed this all in one go. It would have required about 10 more K to get going. But I decided against it. And the main reason I decided against it was that it really didn't make, you know, much sense. We could send a manned mission and get a lot of science out of that and not have to worry about carrying tons of, you know, these pods with us. Although in reality what we probably want to do is research docking ports, so the idea there would be that we might eventually dock up with the with some lab in space. There we go. We'll get that down just a little bit more. But yeah, we have plenty of fuel to shoot directly towards the moon, and if we take a look at where the moon is, we want to be about 45 degrees in. I'm going to shoot for a free return trajectory, which may happen if we can lower that apsis to like, oh no, 30K is pretty good. This thing doesn't necessarily need much in the way there, but the trouble is now we are quite far out, and that's only going to raise our periapsis. We can make that burn from way out here, though. We want to, if we're going to do the free return trajectory, then we want that periapsis to be very close in. I mean, we can always trim that from orbit. I believe we need to be not 417 meters. That's a little bit too much. I think 37 will be good. And then what we can do there is we can try not to make this such a, you know, I think that may give us an escape trajectory. That gets us there fairly soon. I mean, we'll get out to carbon apoapsis in about a day, which will give us plenty of time to rescue this guy. And also plenty of time to do other things as well. Now, we could recover the value from this if I work on it just right. I think maybe what we'll do is we don't want to do that. It might help if I get in range here. That will probably be somewhere over here. Let's see if our reaction wheel is even enabled. There we go. We're about ready to make that burn, and we will have plenty of fuel left for correction. Not entirely sure yet if I want to get this guy, you know, on the way to the moon and then rescue our friend. That would seem to be a reasonable thing to do, though. Just have to go out here and see how close we get, because we will have ourselves an intercept at this rate. We are very, very slightly off target, but I mean, it's gonna happen. If we can find a way to get this free return trajectory, well, for free, you know. That will give us, that'll give us something we can work with. I mean, That won't kick us out at least, and once we reach periapsis, then we will be in low Kerbin orbit. I think I'm just going to bring it down to 44. We won't be in low Kerbin orbit, but we will be at this apoapsis, which will mean that this is going to be interesting because we're going to have to deal with this sort of return. But let's add this, not a transfer window, but I think it's SOI change. We'll get our alarm to go and give us information about the SOI change. And hopefully nothing will go wrong there. Now we really have two options. The first is that, well, I definitely want to check that as well, but this is interesting. We can take the LV-1, which, if you're not familiar with it, that is the space probe engine, the small one. And that would actually be worth doing, I think. In fact, I'm going to make that maybe our next deal. Because we get a fair amount of reputation for it. And in addition to that, I mean, if we look at this, we have several days to do this. Johnzer, maybe we shouldn't make Johnzer wait. I mean, it's not exactly still. They want an escape trajectory. And they want it to be done in a year, but for 72 science, it's definitely worth it. Because science is definitely something we can use at this point. But to get Johnzer, I want to use this guy here. We'll kick Johnzer Kerman out. And we could upgrade this. Only this guy, this could be a bit of an issue because our thrust to weight ratio will be really high, and I think we know what happens in that case. But let's wait for Johnzer to get really close by. Maybe about there. And let's just see. It's better, I think, if we just do the single tap here. We are deviating a slight bit. And this is probably going to cause us to flip out of control because we're not going all that fast. not looking good. Because our thrust to weight ratio, I mean, it's okay. But we want to get this thing back in control somehow. That doesn't appear to be happening. I mean, we've pretty much lost all of our velocity here. That is rather annoying because the only way for me to go is the opposite way. And that's the only stable direction for me to go as well. Because now I can't even get that up. Well, I'm gonna try and salvage this. We'll have to. We'll have this ready for good old Johnzer. The next go round. And we'll just land this thing as easily as we can. Really, I should improve that. Because it's... that thing really does not have enough fuel, and I think the reason... I apologize if the splashing sounds are too high up. But we do happen to have some of our funds recovered. We'll try this again. And in this case, I think what I'll do is I will get a few things out of this that I need. We have 47 science out of this so far. I'm going to replace this guy here with a fairly large deal. We want to get as much out of this first stage as we can, even though staging really does help. I mean, that by itself, if we're careful, is enough to get us out of orbit. And so we'll do that. Now, I've seen some people suggest not to use the telephones. And that could actually be good advice. Let's just bring this down. I want to bring down the cost quite a bit. That brought down the cost significantly, actually. We have more than enough Delta V for us to get out of the atmosphere at this point. Now, I guess the question is, would these guys get stranded around the moon? That's going to be a bit of an issue. But, ooh. That is... Well, we lost that engine. There's nothing quite like a staging error to make stuff go awry. But we did recover most of that. Let's see. And, of course, Job snuck straight in there anyhow. I'm gonna decouple this about the same time I decouple that guy there. Let's just see where this guy's at. So that's about where it's supposed to be. We just need to make sure we have two of them, or else Ferrum Aerospace is not going to like it. Let's try to do the same thing we did again. Only this time it will be a night launch, probably. So... not that fast. One more go. He can survive in orbit. There we go. And he's very slightly inclined. What's his inclination? His inclination... Maybe it isn't non-trivial, maybe it's just me. But, for better or for worse. Try getting this thing going. Did we... lose everything. Now, why was this thing flying just fine before? Is it my own incompetence? I mean, I reckon it probably is, but... This is not going well. I mean, something tells me that maybe I'm just not doing this correctly. I mean, Topmore will be rescued. But we will lose a lot of money in the process. We probably won't make any, come to think of it. Okay, Jeb is out, thankfully. This is not meant to be a manned deal. Okay, let's target this guy. And let's wait for him to come around. That's a little bit too close. That's about as good as we're gonna get, I think. SAS is not the best thing to use here. It will cause me to flip out. We gotta keep that timed apoapsis going. Very highly inclined. What I'm gonna do something tells me imminent failure is imminent. I bet you if we turn on forward. Why did that decouple not decouple? This is not good. I don't know if we're going to be able to get out of this. I mean, we don't even... It looks like our parachutes blew up. I'm gonna stop the perfect gravity turn stuff for now. We don't even really have any way of recovering our vessel at this point. I mean, we can recover it, but this is turning into a bit of a fool's errand. Because every time I seem to try to launch, we've got this issue to where, somehow overdoing it. Although it's good to know that we can in fact land on one parachute. It'll be a rough landing. But we'll recover that. And maybe I won't be so aggressive this time. I mean, here's the question. Do we really care all that much for this guy that we're going to or rather risk our life and limb for him? I mean, apparently it's just fine. Let's turn off SAS. It's going to do nothing but drain battery power from us. Set this guy as a target because we're going to want to intercept him pretty soon. And you know what? Go full throttle on this. We hit 60. That'll be better than nothing, I think. This has think, however, we're going to get a better inclination out of this, despite the fact that, we're almost out of delta V. What is up with that? That fairing is not busting for anything. And we're gonna have to use most of our delta V, I think, to get into orbit. Unfortunately. Because as it is right now, we're not really going anywhere. It's 212 by 1399. Well, you know what? That'll just have to do. I bet you it's not going to be perfect by any means. Well, more than enough to get ourselves down. Maybe, or perhaps he will die. We're probably way ahead of him now, so I'm gonna change our inclination very slightly. We're at the descending node, so that means that to take care of this 5-degree inclination, yeah, this is going to be another case of not being able to make it. Unfortunately. And we actually would have had a pretty decent orbit, too. We want to go ahead. We'll get rid of this guy. We'll turn off SAS. We're on the other side of the planet, unfortunately. That's not quite what I had in mind. And I'm beginning to think maybe, just maybe, we should take that 30 science instead. As you definitely cannot be as aggressive with Ferrum Aerospace, it seems like, as I am now. Or maybe I'll just get that vessel up to where it needs to go. I mean, it's... That staging deal is seriously beginning to irritate me, though. I don't really understand what is up with the staging there, and that's perhaps part of the issue. Because I've thoroughly debugged that, and there's no real question in my mind that we've spent way more than we need to. But we'll go ahead and land and recover the vessel. This might have actually been a pretty decent place for a Kerbal to land. SSTOs are looking like they will actually be a fair deal more attractive in this case. Once we research the technology to get up there, and not necessarily space planes, just things that we don't need to worry about. But with that having been said, I'm gonna give that up for a while because it's bewildering me why that staging is messed up to begin with. Why don't we instead give ourselves this LV-101 the ants? And we're not gonna bring this guy back, so we'll just... You know what we can do, since it's on an escape trajectory, why don't we take the Plober, the original Plober, the Mark IIA rather, and let's amend it slightly, because this one I know we can get going. Unless, of course, I've messed it up somehow. Let's see what we can get rid of. We can definitely get rid of that guy right there. We need fuel for this, though. And since we have no real way of recovering this, we also will need an antenna, which maybe we'll put up here at the top. That antenna is worth 300 for some strange reason. And I cannot for the life of me figure out what's up with this dude. We don't really need to worry about re-entry. That's not going to be a problem. Let's see. You know what? We'll put this guy on there because it would be really quite good to for us to get this guy up and going. We'll just use the ant engine that we had before. And we'll move this guy up here. Unless, of course, our fairing test fails. Or our fairing thing fails. None of this is coming back, so... we'll just stick this guy out on the side here. I believe it's immune to drag anyhow. And we will have enough, it looks like, to get to where we want to. We've just got to get this thing out of the atmosphere. That is our only goal. And we'll have more than enough Delta V to do it. We just have to make it happen. But we'll get that going for now. You know, okay, why did that happen? There is a difference, KSP, between me screwing up and you screwing up. I guess it was me screwing up. Unfortunately, there's no window for this. The only thing that can really happen is that this guy will die. And by this guy, I mean the guy in orbit. Doesn't matter which way we go as long as we go in that direction. Okay, that's fine. You go in that direction. I don't really care that you're going south. I just want you to okay, here's the question. Can we slow our descent long enough? Probably not. I don't think there's going to be any choice but for us to try to use this guy to slow down. We got plenty of Delta V here at least. It would really be quite something if we can recover this. I'm doubtful that we will be able to. But we actually got plenty of fuel. Okay, we got the probe core at least. We're doing science very expensively here. I mean, for what it's worth, I think, you know, I'll just take my chances with SAS because we don't really need that good of a flight profile. And I think it's SAS that's throwing me off, to be honest. There we go. Let's not worry about our inclination. Let's just worry about getting this guy up into space where he's supposed to be. And watch, it'll work perfectly now that I'm not trying to rescue somebody, just you see. That is to say, it'll work perfectly until it doesn't. I'm gonna quit messing with it, because we need less thrust here so it can do its gravity turn properly. Not that it really has, but you know what, it's going to be a-okay. We'll get up out of this thick part of the atmosphere. Really what killed us last time. And we'll just crank it on full throttle. Go. Okay, maybe we won't. Maybe that's too much. Okay. There we go. Can we at least get this thing circular? Remotely circular, because then I could use the Overth effects. Circular isn't really the thing here, though, is it? Let's look at our fuel. It's in 1 hour. How much fuel will it take for us to get up there? I bet you it's not going to be much. It's just going to be 54 meters per second. And we'll just wait that 1 or so hour to get up there. There we go. You know, I'm just going to... I got 2 minutes, but at this point it doesn't matter too much. As long as we can get our axis out like that. And as soon as we get back, then it'll really just be a question of, can we hit escape trajectory with the fuel we have? And the answer to that is probably yes. Although given how eccentric we are, and the fact that we're not circular, that could be tricky, but, well, we're out of power, and we can't adjust the throttle. Okay, let's just, since we're close to apoapsis, let's just do that. We still have 1 hour and 40 minutes. For us to do what we need to do. And it's going to interrupt us around here, which is just fine. I mean, at least we're in orbit. Now, here's a question. I mean, we're presently at this still to where we could potentially change what we're gonna do, and that's, we'll have a burn there that will bring us right where we want to be. Except we don't want carbon periapsis to be so high. There we go. Let's just cross over that SOI and begin grabbing our first bits of science that we're going to retrieve. That's 75. This could definitely get us a few things. I'm gonna give us on this, if we you know, if we go ahead and do this to where we add our maneuver node, I'm going to give us 2 minutes because that should allow us to collect any remaining science. How's our energy consumption doing? I mean, we're doing okay. And let's switch back to this guy here. I don't set that as a target, switch to him. There's a chance we'll probably have it. We'll hit that before we're ready. Okay, jump to ship and restore maneuver node, even though it's not strictly necessary here. Where are we at now? I think we can get low science. Keep data. There we go. Let me just double check on that. That is the low science and space near the moon. Let's just get in our IVA in our map view here. And we'll begin bringing that periapsis down to unset target so we can see. What we have here. Now I could chunk the stage, but I'm not going to. There we go. That's good enough because, let's see, when we exit the SOI, I think I'll switch back to that. That's in an hour, so this. Oh, don't do that. That's, there we go. No, I want the probe. We'll switch back to this and try to get in as close as we can. It looks like we're actually going to have some time here to do this burn. It's just, will we have the power? Well, we better get this thing started off. Just in case. But that way we'll have both the time and the power. Because I stupidly forgot to put batteries on it, thinking, oh, this will be, you know, this will be just fine. We're gonna go outside the moon. How are we doing on fuel? Probably doing okay on fuel. Oh, carbon escape. Except now we can't really do anything about this. Fortunately, we managed to get some power back. Can we run that test? Not yet. Maybe now we can run that test. Yeah, we just ran that test. Now we've got that 70-something science. Nice. That's a 7-day deal. We're not going to hear back from that thing in a while. But we have the opportunity to transmit science from that area of space now. So let's just switch to this guy since we're about to hit our deal here. And let's just make sure that we're coming in at our target orbit, because as it turns out, no, we are not. We want to be going... Okay, where... Oh, we must still be in the... There we go. We are not quite at periapsis yet. Probably because we're so far out. But I'm just going, I'm going to raise that just a smidgen. Not too much. I think that's a little bit too high for us. And that guy is still on his escape path. Let's maybe see what we can do to, in the interim, make use of this extra fuel we have, because we're not really going to get to recover it. So, if we must do that, then maybe the trouble is that I need to get in particularly close for this. That will lower our periapsis quite a bit, but we're moderately close here, and to be honest, all I really want from this is the science. We're almost at periapsis now. So I'm going to burn off what we have left. There we go. And that guy is going away. And we are hopefully not going to lose all of this delicious, tasty data. I mean, that's the hope anyhow. I somehow think that we are going to lose bits and pieces of it. But at least we got some money back from that. Maybe. I guess that has to land. So we may be grinding some contracts. And just for reference, that ablative heat shield is not really doing too bad. I mean, I could think of worse things to happen there. This is really the only thing that's gone right. That we Got science data from space. It's the launch enhancer. Supertron escaped the atmosphere. This is from way back when. Okay, what do we still got here? Oh yeah, we didn't achieve orbit. But we can do that with our landing vessel, which probably, against my better judgment, I'm going to make a lander probably one of the next things I'm going to do. As much as I probably should not. Fortunately, there is better control here, but I'm just going to have to mess around with this and figure out precisely what it is that I plan to do. In the interim, we are bringing back quite a fair amount of science. If we look at this, we've got, looks like 105 each, so 210 science, which we will spend when we get back to the Space Center, that is to say, if I'm not stupid about it, and I recover this capsule properly. I'm just going to pop the chutes now and hope that we slow down enough. Because you know what? Maybe it's just that we need better staging. That's the real problem here, is that I've overdone it on my rockets, and I will undoubtedly do some testing, maybe develop a better rescue vehicle, one that's not so difficult to launch. But we will take that bounty of science and we will do something with it. And I guess, home dude, what's his name? We'll just have to, Johnzer, he'll just have to wait until we can do that. I mean, he's an asteroid until then, anyhow. But we'll recover that. How much science did we get back? Enough, I hope. We have 370 science. Let's go to town really quick. Let's see what we might want. Launch clamps and struts are definitely on that list. I want to grab some more science. Let's see. This gives us wider fairing bases. And this gives us small probe parts, which might be interesting. It's expensive, though. In contrast to this, we can get larger rocket stages here. RCS is going to be a must as well. We still have 145 science, so we don't have enough, but between these fuel lines and this guy here, I think I'm going to go with this guy. And this will give us heavier rocketry. So, I mean, we've managed not to kill any Kerbals so far. I don't know how long that will last. But until then, this has been Lord Root, and I will see you next time.